That's great, though. I was riding out, and the bird spoke to me. And what did the bird say to him? Well, this is like Whitman, isn't it? He goes down in the swamp. Maybe Whitman met this guy or something. You know? He goes down in the swamp, and the thrush sings to him, right? And behold, actually, that is very close to Whitman. You know, that's really very close to Whitman's song about Lincoln there. Yeah, although Whitman's a grown man. Anyway, he turns into geese. Okay, that's a little bird here. How many think that this is an authentic vision that he had? How many think he's faking it? Well, the rest of you don't have any opinion at all? What's the other possible opinion? Is there another opinion?
Your memories can be altered. Okay.
So you think he's not faking it, but he didn't have it, he just thinks he had it. How many think that? Well, I don't know what the rest, are the rest of you thinking? Are you talking to birds? Anyway, I think he thinks he had this, and I also do think that he was frightened, and I also do think that a storm was coming, and that, in fact, it was a flight of geese. But who cares? He's having visions. He thinks he's having visions, right? We all agree on that? And he's having them very early. I want to try to hurry so I can finish up before we talk about the exam, but I want to get a good one, place some more visions here for you to be able to deal with. And then in the summer when I was 9, the Wasichus had been building their iron road, the railway. This had cut the bison herd in two. This is the great... When did they lay the Golden Spike? It was very soon after the Civil War out in Monument Valley or someplace, Utah or someplace, where the two sides of the railway came together. I think it was about 1869. Yeah. So, you know, and that did cut the buffalo herds in half, so he knows. He's right. But they stayed in our country, and they still had plenty of buffalo, and too numerous to count, so that wasn't a problem yet. And they made our boys warriors. Now the boys are like girls, he says. Sorry to be sexist about that, but he says that they're of age 16. I was 9 years old. It was summer. People were moving slowly towards the Rocky Mountains. And then, what happened? This guy called Manhip invited him to his teepee, and while I was there eating with him, a voice came. Another voice. Now this guy is hearing voices continually from now on. It starts when he was 4 or 5, and it gets on now he's 9, and there it is. It's time. They're calling you. The voice was so loud and clear I believed it, and I thought I would just go where it wanted me to go. So I got right up and I started. And as I came out of the teepee, both my thighs began to hurt. And it was like I was walking in a dream and there wasn't any voice. And I went back into the teepee, but I didn't want to eat. And Manhip was looking at me in a strange way and told him my legs were hurting. And the camp was moving again. I was riding with some boys and we stopped to get a drink at a creek. And when I got off my horse, my legs crumbled under me. And I couldn't walk. And so the boys helped me again. The next day the camp moved and I rode on the pony drag and both my legs and both my arms were almost immobile. What's happened to him here? Well, he's obviously in a fever. He's caught a fever of some kind. Maybe he's got meningitis. Like you guys who are nurses would know something about this, right? Maybe he's, I don't know what's weakened him here. Something has happened. Any of you can recognize the disease symptoms here that you know about from your training? Anyway, how many of you, when you're young, you have fever, and really have weird things happening when you're feverish, and you remember weird things, and you want your mommy or your daddy, and you're lying in bed, and your head is maybe spinning or something? You felt all that kind of thing? Yeah, you remember all that? That's what he's talking about here. But he has a vision here that he remembers the rest of his life, and he has an outer body vision here. He's 9 years old. Again, do you believe this one? I don't know. I guess so. I don't know what to say about it. I can't remember hardly anything at 9. I remember stuff at 3, but 9 is all confused by this time. So I can't remember if I had a vision when I was 9 or I didn't. He seemed to know exactly how old he was when everything happened. Hurry, your grandfathers are calling. I can see through the opening 2 men were coming from the clouds, again the arrows, each carrying a long spear. Now this might owe something to the book of Daniel. I was telling you, the Judeo-Christian biblical book called Daniel, where there's a lot of this kind of, or the apocalypse. So sometimes I think